and I'm going to try to be funny and interesting in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of what is currently called the Fish and Grits podcast. Just letting you know that name is under review by a committee that we've assembled to take a look at it. It's Atlanta's newest and some might say most well-balanced podcast on Atlanta sports culture and everything in between. My name is Lionel. I'm your host and MC, joined by my regular cohort of co-hosts. We've got Ryan Dollar. Say hi.
Hey, guys.
Ryan. Marco Restrepo.
What's happening?
Michael Poole.
What up?
And today's special guest from our Atlanta's own 92.9 The Game, the midday host, Andy Bunker. Andy, hello, sir.
Hello, guys. I like that the first thing you said right before we started recording was, now I'm going to try to be funny and interesting. That's exactly what I say before the show starts.
That's what I say most times when I talk to people. So
you're basically a professional broadcaster. So.
Let's go.
You know, that actually segues into my next little bit. So I don't know if you guys heard a little bit of news before we get started. Spotify recently bought the rights to Joe Rogan's podcast, exclusive streaming rights for video and audio for $100 million, right?
$100 million.
So I was sitting there and I was like, man, Joe Rogan's got a ton of people who listen to his podcast, you know, how can I get $100 million like that? Well, what does Joe Rogan have that I don't have? Well, he has a ton of listeners, but how does he get those listeners, right? Well, he has really bad opinions, which is what I have. He just sits in front of a camera talking into a microphone. That's what I'm doing. He has friends who like to smoke weed. I'm looking at some of them right now. And he has really great guests on his podcast. So I'm looking at Andy as our stepping stone to $100 million. He's right. The first. So, Bunker, I will give you a small cut of when we get bought by Spotify.
Great. That sounds odd. Do I need to get high? Because that's what a lot of times happens on his show is.
You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do, man.
They make headlines off of it.
We won't judge you.
Listen, you do whatever you need to do contractually to stay within, 92.9 The Game contract. I don't want to get you in trouble, but it might help a little bit if you know what I mean.
I'm not even, I don't know, I mentioned this on the radio show sometimes. I'm not even, I won't say allowed because I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I'm a grown man, but I'm in agreement with my wife that I'm not even drinking right now because she's pregnant. So we got a baby due in August, and I'm
congratulations, man.
Thank you. So we're doing the no drinking in solidarity with one another. But just so we're clear, if I wanted to, I could, because again, I'm a grown man.
Right. Grown ass man.
I don't want to get kicked out of my house.
I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking this delicious polar seltzer.
Oh, I was wondering what that was. It looked sort of alcoholic, but now.
Yeah, it's not even a Truly. It's just alcohol-free.
Well, if you really, not a sponsor, but if you really want to get the feeling of drinking a tall boy, but it's only seltzer, Liquid Death Mountain Water has got, it's they say like murder your thirst. It's really cheesy and over the top, but they've got, no, it's just like straight up seltzer water, but they carbonate it at a lower percentage.
Oh.
So it's not as bitter, and it comes in like tall boys, and it looks like beer, and it has like a flaming skull on the front.
They're really all.
I don't know if you're into that
right now.
That sounds great. Anything I can do to trick myself into, thinking that I'm drinking something.
Slam 3 of those and then stumble around the house. It'll be great.
I have been tempted to shotgun one of these.
Sounds like gas.
Speaking of huffing balloons.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be a bad way to end the podcast tonight.
All right, so Andy,
tonight, drum roll.
Tell the folks about yourself, man. What's your story? What gets you up in the morning? Come on.
Yeah. So I hosted the midday show on 92.9 The Game. It's awesome that some of you guys listen to that show. I appreciate that. I also appreciate you guys asking me to come on the podcast. It's really nice. It's cool that you guys get together every single week and do this. That's awesome. So I've been at 92.9 The Game for almost 4 years now. I moved to Atlanta. Actually, I've been in Atlanta for almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years on June 9th. I started at 92.9 The Game. It will be 4 Septembers ago. So we're coming up on 4 years there too. But my wife and I met in graduate school in Boston. and we were in the same program, the same broadcast journalism program, and she got a job here in Atlanta at CNN, and I got a job in Seattle, which is where I'm from. So I went home and worked at a sports radio station in Seattle for a while. It was the Seahawks and the Mariners flagship station. And she was here at CNN, and she started killing it and started getting promotions and like all kinds of exciting opportunities and traveling to cover, political conventions and stuff like that. And things were going okay for me, but she was moving up fast. So, if we were going to stay together, somebody was going to have to move. And it seemed like her situation was better than mine. So I quit that job and moved here. And I didn't really have like a ton of connections in Atlanta at the time. I had a few people that I had worked with that knew some people here, so I was able to get a job interview or whatever. But so when I started at 92.9, I was like, before we started recording, we were talking about, some of the part-time people that work at 92.9 and how unfortunately some of them have been let go through this process, this situation that we're in right now. But that's what I was doing when I got on. I was running the board at night for the night show, that the former night show. Occasionally I would get on late night on the weekends, and then it was the year the Falcons went to the Super Bowl. The guy who did the Falcons postgame show one Sunday got sick, basically, and they were like, "Oh God, what are we gonna do?" So my boss called me and was like, "Hey, if you can." I was like, "Yeah, of course I can." So I went in there and did the show, and they were like, "Oh wow, you're way less shitty than we thought you might be. We should let you be on during the daytime more often, or not at 2:00 in the morning more often." So gradually some more opportunities popped up, and because in Seattle, again, not that it matters, but in Seattle I was hosting a show every day. I was on air every day. I just didn't know anybody here when I moved here, so I took whatever job I could get, and I wasn't going to be picky or be have an ego about what I was able to do. But I mean, I knew I could do stuff. I knew I could host a show if they gave me the opportunity to. So luckily, it finally happened that they did, and they heard it and they liked it. So then more stuff started happening, and the night show host got fired for whatever reason.
Was that Zeno?
Yeah, they let him go for whatever reason, and so I got to try out for that show, and I got it, which was awesome. And then the midday show guys at our station, again, kind of the same thing. Whatever reason, they made the decision to move on, and I got that job too. So I've been very fortunate with timing. Unfortunately, people that I really like have been on the receiving end of those layoffs, which really sucks. Like John Michaels is one of the coolest dudes I've ever met in my life. Still a really good friend of mine. But yeah, I mean, it's the way it goes in this business. Sometimes you got to be in the right place at the right time, I guess. Yeah, but that's it. That's my story. Basically, the midday show started like a year ago. Me and Randy get paid to basically dick off for 4 hours every day, and I'm going to try to do that as long as they let me do it.
I mean, let me share my cringe Andy Bunker moments, because I have some fan interaction moments where the first time was you had your night show, and I said something like, "Oh, I'll cross you up," and then you challenged me to a basketball game. You said you played on some small little court, and you were like, "Oh, come here sometime." And it never happened, but I thought that was pretty cool that you interacted.
Because Marco was scared.
I had to try to pretend to be good for the sake of the air. You probably would have dominated me though.
Maybe. And then the other ones, I made a song for y'all on a pretty bad song for y'all for you were doing fans sending intro music, and I made it was like Andy Randy, oh what a duo. It was pretty bad.
Where did you send it to?
I think I sent it to Wendy. Y'all played it, and Randy was like, "Oh man, they got tambourines on it."
Oh yeah, okay, good. I'm glad. I just want to make sure it got on the air. The last thing we want to do is somebody do something fun and creative and us not use it.
Yeah, it was on there. It was on there.
That's awesome.
It was cringe though. It was cringe.
No, it wasn't. No way. There's no way. The promos we actually use that our guy makes, sometimes those are actually cringeworthy.
Time to talk.
Hopefully he doesn't hear this. Maybe he will. But sometimes I'm like, damn, really? That's the promo we made? Okay.
That's what y'all got out of all
Right.
that great
Best
comments.
we could do, huh? Okay.
Little did you know, Andy, we actually just brought you here to air our grievances against you in the midday show. That's the whole. Ryan was like, "Man, that Andy Bunker guy! I can't wait to tell him how I feel." Let me slide his DMs real quick. Ryan,
Sir.
I'm gonna edit this out in post. You see our remaining meeting time warning up in the corner?
Literally doing it right now.
My homeboy.
Are they gonna extend us for free like they usually do? Or are they off that?
I guess we ran out of those.
Yeah, I
Those
think Ryan
tokens.
actually pays for it, which is cool.
Well,
Cool,
I'll
that is
cash
cool.
it.
I was wondering because I've done some of these with friends, and we have to like call each other back.
Yeah, well,
They've extended this for free every time, but this
Oh, okay.
time, I guess maybe because we have 5 people, and they said no, thank you.
We had 5 people at one time and they extended us.
Last week we had 5 and they did it.
Zoom
Hold
just
on.
knows
Whoa.
like now they know that we've been like lulled into a sense of security, so they're like now you have to pay for pro.
It's trying to make me pay. There we go.
I'll cash app you. What you need?
Yeah,
Oh, no,
what
they're
you
trying
need,
to
dude?
charge me $150. I don't know.
What?
Oh,
I was like, whoa.
Never mind.
No way.
Pay for the whole year?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
caught that.
We
I'm
haven't
not
been
gonna-
bought by Spotify for $1 million yet. We can't
Not
afford
yet.
that.
No, not yet.
Even 10K.
Well, okay, so we can go back to
Yeah.
while Ryan's figuring that out. All right, perfect. Awesome. So Andy, what's your favorite part about being in Atlanta? I know I've got a really good friend of mine who's from Seattle, and he says that it's a whole different sort of world, and there are things that he definitely misses. I want to know what your favorite part about being in Atlanta is.
I mean, man, there's so many parts that are my favorite. With my job, it's just how constant, I mean, not right now, but how constant the action is. Like, I mean, every day of the year, something interesting is happening in the city that's sports related, even if it's not an Atlanta sports team. You got the college football kickoff games are here at the beginning of the season. College football awards are here at the end of the season. The Peach Bowl or the Chick-fil-A Bowl is here. You know, like there's just always something going on. There's an NBA team, which is nice. I miss having that. I did radio in Portland for a couple years, and
Oregon or Maine?
Say again?
Is it Oregon or Maine?
Oh, Oregon. Yeah, actually, that's funny you asked that. I almost got a job in Portland, Maine out of school, but that didn't work out.
Doing radio?
TV. I was going to be a TV reporter in Portland, Maine. I was going to be like live from this snow flurry. Reporting
Live from the middle of
from this
nowhere.
crab shack. But yeah, so I was in Portland, Oregon for a couple of years, and if the Blazers didn't play, nothing happened, you know? So It's a blessing to be in Atlanta where, you know, it's not always good sports news, but there's at least always something happening. You know?
There's
Do
some
they
news.
follow like Seattle teams in Portland? Is it close enough for that, or do they don't want?
No, they hate them. They hate them. Portland is like, I kind of think like how Charlotte feels about Atlanta, you know, or Orlando kind of feels about Atlanta. They've got like a brother complex because Atlanta's just so much bigger and better and has everything. That's how Portland feels about Seattle.
Oh yeah.
So like trying to bring up like there's like a small amount of Seahawks fans or whatever, but if you try to do sports radio about it, they're like, why don't you just go back there? And it's like, maybe I
Gladly, bye.
I would.
You don't like it, you can get out.
I love Portland though, but I mean, just in case any Portland people are listening,
It's cool.
It was super fun to live there and work there.
To our biggest constituency.
I know,
yeah, I like-
Thanks.
We're actually strangely popular in Singapore and Portland. All right, well, Andy, welcome. Just a few ground rules before we get going. We do not slander Julio Jones in this house.
Marco.
We just don't.
I didn't
do it.
slander Julio Jones.
We
I just
also
said whatever.
we also try to actively slander Michael Thomas as often as possible, mostly because we think that he reads and listens to everything that has his name in it. And so we're trying to do it for publicity so we can get out by Spotify for $101 million. I want to beat Joe Rogan. I think we can do it, guys.
Want to be the
All right,
best.
awesome. Cool. Andy, I'm looking forward to having your feedback here. Moving to our first topic for today. So the NBA, we talked about this, I think, in our first episode, where we were like, how would you end the NBA season? And one of the things that we all talked about was how cool it would be for them to do a full-on single elimination tournament with every team in the NBA. Like, just
March
seed them
Madness
all. Yeah, and just like see what happens, because why not? Everything else is crazy, so why not let the NBA season be insane too? Adam Silver was listening to us, but only a little bit. So they've got this idea where they will play a 16-team tournament, and they'll seed the teams based on the record before the season got canceled. But it's going to be in Orlando at Disney World. So,
which isn't really in Orlando.
Right. Thanks, Marco. Actually, it's not actually in Orlando. Actually. So what do you guys think about that? Is that a good enough end to the NBA season? Is it a fitting end, or do you think that they should be, because we were talking about our like single elimination tournament. We were like, how much would you pay for that? Like, I'd pay full price for a league pass for that.
Yeah.
For the whole month, or for the rest of the year, really, if you need to. It would be so nuts because something crazy would happen. So, like, what's your feedback? Let's start with Andy, since he's new and his dog is barking.
Yeah, Boone had to say hi. There was no way we were going to make it through this thing without Boone saying hi.
That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I like something that gets everybody involved too, and I like something like you were saying that isn't normal. And I know what they're proposing isn't normal either, but it's just such a unique opportunity for these leagues to try something that they're not going to be able to try otherwise, right? Like,
Right.
I think with baseball, Bob Costas, who's about as like straight-laced and by the book and traditional as it gets when it comes to anything related to rules, has been saying that about baseball. Like, try it out. Do universal designated hitter. Do a shorter season. Do runners on second and extra innings. Whatever. Like, try all the stuff out that you've been wanting to try. Empty the chamber, because you're not going to get another opportunity to do this again. Or hopefully you don't get another opportunity to do this again. So yeah, like I'm with that when it comes to the basketball idea. I understand they need to all be in the same place. It would be better if it was Vegas, because Vegas is better than Orlando. Orlando's one of the worst cities in America, in my opinion. It's right up there with Phoenix and El Paso.
Andy can come back anytime he wants, guys. It's
just the worst place. I really hate it. But yeah, it is going to suck and be unsatisfying from at least my perspective, from a Hawks perspective, to not see the guys get out there again. It would have been really cool to see Clint Capella play with these guys at some point this year. Oh, yeah. And I don't know, they have to make a lot of really hard decisions this offseason, the Hawks do, in terms of, well, I guess not a ton. There's some free agent money that they have, but like, are you going to give John Collins a max contract? Like, is that something that you're about to do right now with a guy who, I don't know, he's good. He's really good, but that's a lot of money and a lot of commitment to a team that was awful this season. So,
and a guy who let us down sort of twice. I mean, even can't say an injury is not really a letdown, but it sort of is.
But a suspension is.
Yeah, that was definitely.
A 25-game suspension.
25-game suspension for cheating is. Yeah, it is. And, I mean, he can explain it however he wants to explain it. Like, it's his job to know what he's putting in his body. So, yeah, I'm with you. I would love to have seen something that got everybody involved. I want to see those guys out there together at the end of the season. And, like you said, the chance for madness. Who knows? Maybe the Hawks would go on a run and win a couple of these games, or some other team would do something like that. That would have been awesome to see.
Yeah, and I think that gives you, that sort of thing would give you an opportunity to see. We were talking in our first episode about the and NBA's been talking for a few years about reseeding the playoffs based on record, not based on conference. So we were talking about how cool it would be to see some of these more interesting matchups. You know what I mean? Like, see the best teams against the best teams, and not every single series, and not just watching the East be terrible except at the top, or you know what I mean? Like, especially because the West Coast games are past my bedtime as a father of two and a full-time employee of a big company. Like, I'm not going to stay up until 10:30. It's like, it's time to watch the Lakers
kickoff.
So,
right,
1 a.m.
Right. Marco, give me your feedback on the NBA's potential tournament ending to the season.
So I'm typically not a purist, but for some reason I feel like it should stay East-West, even though like I said, this in this window, I think it's fine to test whatever. So in that sense, but I was looking at some of the matchups and like it would be Bucks Magic, Lakers Nets, Raptors Grizzlies, Clippers Sixers, Celtics Pacers, Nuggets Mavericks, Heat Rocket, and Jazz Thunder. And so it still ended up being 8-8 from each conference. And the only two matchups that would really be compelling is the Heat and the Rockets and the Clippers and the Sixers. Other than that, though, I feel like regardless, the one's always going to play an okay team. You know what I mean? So a lot of it, I feel like it's good for a novelty to introduce some of these series that have never happened in history, you know. But all in all, I don't think it would really enhance it that much. And on Orlando, I think Orlando is a good city for it because it's so shitty. They won't be tempted to leave. They won't be tempted to do anything. They might just have to get some girls and test them and have them on call if you're going to have the whole NBA there.
You're not allowed to talk about that, man. You can't talk about that.
Say it.
We're trying to get on Apple Podcasts, man. You can't do that.
I didn't say the word I was going to say. I just said girls.
Sure.
Dude,
Right,
Instagram girls are going to bring down the whole bubble.
They'll destroy it because they cannot. These NBA players cannot help themselves. They have too much money and too much time, and it's just it's risky. But Orlando, if anywhere, that'd be the place with the least risk because no one wants to be in Orlando.
But what about all the jorts wearing? You know, never mind. I'm not going to get into that right now. It's a little
not
early
direct
for
shots,
that.
at least.
No, Micah, come on, man.
Yeah, well, you know, my biggest thing was I would prefer them to use all the teams, even if they do 16 teams. I would use all the teams to do like a just warm-up games, tune-up games, because being in shape is different, way different from being in game shape. So if you just go into a 16-team tournament now, it's going to be some sloppy basketball played, and it's not going to do much for the NBA as far as revenue-wise. Like, oh, yeah, let's watch these terrible games as these guys continually throw the ball out of bounds.
You see a lot of reserves getting some time in the playoffs that you normally wouldn't see.
Oh, they're shooting nothing but bricks. I mean, I would use them all, and I would try and use all the teams, just get them some warm-up games, and then just go from the record from there and just 16 teams play the tournament out that way. This is the year that you got to try, like you said, try some things out. I'd do it like that. As far as like location, Orlando's probably a good spot.
Oh,
this
whole middle road, the Zoom call.
Worse. I mean, you could you could go somewhere like Charlotte or something.
Where'd you go, Micah?
I don't know.
I'll be back.
Just keep talking.
For those of us on audio, Micah disappeared. We're all very.
We went to Orlando.
Purgatory, aka Orlando.
All right, Ryan. So, along with it seems like everybody's sort of on the same page. So I'm going to ask you a different question.
I'm not on the same page.
Oh, okay. Go ahead then. I assumed. Tell me your thoughts, my friend.
We're bringing it home to Atlanta only because we have the Georgia World Congress Center, and it's set up perfectly for something like this with such large venues and so many different spaces. You can fit multiple courts in there. And you can, kind of contain them all in the Omni because let's be honest, no one really stays in the Omni anymore. But
how far is the Omni from Magic City?
Far enough.
No.
How long would it take Michael Turner to get there?
With those thighs, not very long. But I had a different idea for it. So what you can do is, sell passes to these fans, make sure they're screened, make sure they're quarantined, things like that. Give them some type of like all exclusive pass, sell it for like $1,000 for like a family if they wanted. Have them in the stands. So they have some type of fandom there, but also instead of just it being the 16 teams, have like an NIT style tournament for the not so great teams. So like you may get to see the Hawks go win the NIT of the NBA this year. play all the bad teams and go through, or even if you get eliminated, maybe they can play down.
The Suns would shock everybody in the NIT.
Yeah. But on a comment on what you said, the Nets would play the Lakers, right, Marco?
Yeah, it'd be Nets Lakers.
Kyrie would miraculously get better. And
Oh, I know, right?
just for a chance to play LeBron again.
I wonder if KD would try.
Well, they say KD looks like he's in game shape because
Right.
he's actually still out there training. He's been rehabbing, but that would not shock me to see Kyrie get out there on the floor just to try and stick it to LeBron.
Yeah, I think that
with that in mind, I mean, maybe these matchups are more compelling than I thought when I just skimmed over them. But yeah,
I'm surprised you thought Clippers Philly was compelling.
That's a very compelling.
well, they're big. It's a lot of size there,
Yeah.
and I think obviously the Sixers don't travel well, but
I mean, the Sixers are 25-1 at home, Micah. They're not a bad team.
they're not bad. They're just bad on the road.
Ben Simmons and his lack of shooting and
Well, I wouldn't say the Sixers would win, but I still said I think it'd be compelling.
So Marco, do you think it's a problem that they're going to be going to America's armpit in Orlando? Like, is
thought
it
that was
that
Cleveland.
Philly? Is it that Philly doesn't travel well, or is it that like when they think they're away, they play bad? Like, is it a Jersey thing, or is it like a physical location thing?
I don't know. I think it's a Ben Simmons thing, really.
Okay. So I'm gonna jump all y'all, and I'm gonna say Orlando sucks. I hate it. Vegas would be a great idea, but I have the winner, and that is Honolulu, Hawaii. Come on, man. You put them on a tropical island. There's no magic city to go to. You know what I mean? You like hem them all in and it's perfect. That's why the Pro Bowl was there for so long. Do something fun. Give us like those gorgeous, like drone shots going over the island where you don't see any people, and you think it's some like wild paradise of volcanoes and you know what I mean? It would be perfect. The optics are great. I think it's way better than Orlando, but Disney owns basically all of Orlando, and Disney also owns ESPN and ESPN and ABC, right, by extension.
Big
and
factor.
That's your big playoff factor. So I think we're going wherever, whatever this new Disney CEO's name, Bob Chapin, I think. We're going wherever Bob says we're going to go for this thing. So
Right. I do want to say I liked Ryan's idea about the NIT, but I think they should do that anyway just for the number one pick. Like, so teams don't try to tank anymore. They should implement everybody who misses the playoffs, make them play in a tournament and decide who gets the number one.
So wait, the winner of the worst teams gets the number one pick? So the most talented team of the worst teams gets the pick?
Hey, man, gives them something to play for.
what if you make the G League teams play for it?
Where you swap them out and be like, you get
why not?
Swap
Why not?
it for a G League team.
All right, so here's an idea. So we're talking about NBA tournaments. I've got this theory that like the NBA season is just a little bit too long. It's just like Major League Baseball season where, most of the first part of the season is just warm up, right? And then you get to like Christmas and then everybody starts really playing after that. You know what I mean? And like, it really sucks for teams that start really, really hot, but can't go the distance, like you start seeing some teams trailing off towards the end of the season. And I understand the reasoning behind it, but for me personally, there's just too many games. So I was thinking about other sports and how they handle it. And we've sort of talked a little bit about how Atlanta United has to juggle 3 different competitions at a time during the season, right? The same thing with like European soccer, right? You've got all of these different competitions. So what if the NBA, instead of running the season being as long as it is and doing like back-to-backs and such, they played basketball for the same amount of time, but you broke it up with different tournaments in the middle, so like you have like a Canadian tournament. I don't know if there are other Canadian basketball teams besides Toronto. It used to be Vancouver. Maybe there's some pro-am teams, you know what I mean? But like play some different tournaments, play a Christmas tournament, like include 10 teams and play a Christmas tournament over that week and have it just be a separate trophy. You know what I mean? Change some of the rules up, maybe expand the bench, like just to get something. It's sort of like how college basketball plays. I can never tell when the college basketball season actually starts because everyone's playing invitationals for months and months at the beginning. You know what I mean? And as a casual college basketball fan, a filthy casual, none of that makes sense to me. But I think it sounds like a cool idea. What do you guys think about that?
I'm all in on that. That's a brilliant idea. I think, that's one thing that really drew me into the MLS was when we started talking about the additional cups. Because before this, I was just a casual soccer fan at best.
plastic.
Yeah. Sorry. But I think that's a great idea. And it would give those bench players that time to get out there and really expose themselves, and the G League players maybe earn some time come playoff time because they can see they can perform in clutch situations like that.
Andy, you have media connections. Tell us it's a good idea and then make it happen.
I mean, the only thing that stands in the way, in my opinion, is getting the guys to care about it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
these guys, you got guys sitting out regular season NBA games already because of load management. Trying to get them to care about extra competition sounds tough unless you make it worth their while, which would mean, incentivize it, give it a big cash bonus or whatever, or like you guys are talking about, have the tournament for the number 1 seed or something like that. There's got to be legitimate incentive. I don't want to sound like I'm a bad sports fan, but I don't know that I'm that pumped about watching a tournament with bench players and G League guys. Like that might suck. That might not be that entertaining to watch.
That will.
Maybe it would be. Maybe I know those guys are good compared.
That's the value, Andy, is seeing how bad they are.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, those guys really do suck. Look at that. That's why DeAndre Bembry can't get on the court for a team, fourth team in the NBA, because he's terrible. But I love the idea of spicing it up, because I'm with you. And the 82-game season, for whatever reason, has grown stale. Like, you don't need 82 games to show us who the best teams are. Sadly, for like the last decade, we've known who the best 3 teams were before the season even started. So I'm with it. I'm with spicing it up in some way, but you're going to have to make it financially worth these guys' while. Otherwise, they're not going to try. They already don't try. Oh, Boone fully losing it. Does not like the idea at all.
Okay, sorry, Boone. What about like an NBA Jam tournament edition style tournament? You know what I mean?
They catch
2-on-2. Yeah. Well, maybe we could do a lot with computers, so I'm okay with that.
Get everybody high on PCP so they can do front flips.
Or like hit the boost and like your shoes light up. You know what I mean?
Catch on fire.
So do you guys know, like, okay, so an example of a sports league that I think really does a lot to this isn't in the notes, and Ryan's going to hate me for this. But, we're talking about ways to like shake things up. So have you heard of Formula E racing?
Is that like a gaming thing?
No, it's real cars, but they're electric, right? So it's like, there's Formula 1, Formula 2, and all these different international race car circuits and such like that. Formula 1 is getting kind of stale because there's like one guy at the top and then everybody else,
Big money wins.
If you haven't heard of Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, it's like, it's unprecedented what that man is doing. Yeah. But Formula E, which is the all electric version, has been trying to increase fan participation. So they have what they call like fan boost, where people can go online and vote from a certain set of cars, like drivers, and that driver will get a speed boost built into the computer to sort of move up the grid and sort of stuff like that. So there are things that less established sports brands are trying, sort of like how the XFL is trying a bunch of stuff that some of it I guess we might see in the NFL regular season. I still wish that they had He Hate Me back. I know that's a played out joke, but I really do miss it. There's some potential
in terms of like just implementing. I feel like if they wanted to do something for the NBA specifically, if they wanted to like do some type of tournament, the best way to do it was just like sort of make them still count as regular season games so that the incentive's still there. And then somehow or another be like, okay, well, this section of games is this, and then blah, blah, blah. And then somehow make it work so the games still work out, maybe lessen the games if that's a big thing for people. But I feel like that they could make it work that way with the, so the incentive is still there because like you said, they're sitting out a lot of these 82 games anyway. So
what you think, Micah?
I'd much rather just shorten the season. And,
basketball.
Well, it's just 82 is too long. But, the tournaments, like you said, I don't know if I'm really enthusiastic about seeing bench players and stuff playing tournaments and stuff like that. But,
they're plastic.
50 games. 50 games you could probably – I don't know if I don't know if Kawhi would need to load manage for 50.
Oh, he
He
will.
still would.
He'd still find a way.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, their money per game would shoot up. Well, you probably have to figure out like prorating contracts or something.
Yeah, if they cut games, you got to cut salaries.
It would.
Yeah,
I
because
think
you're
it would
losing
help
money.
the game. The season wouldn't be quite as long. Players would be a little fresher by playoff time, and you might have less major injuries, possibly. So, I mean, that's more of my route.
And they'd have to completely stop stat books because if you take it to like a 66-game season, none of the stats are going to be equivalent anymore. So,
Well, yeah, you just kind of do mathematically, analytically change those stats.
Mike,
Sounds
I got
fun.
something for you for later. Remind me to bust your chops in the group chat about that in a little bit when we're talking about comparing stats from different eras. Okay. Marco knows where I'm going with this. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. Quick question for you guys. I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy Trae Young. He's a basketball. Andy has that.
No.
Yeah, must not be an important guy. So a little while ago, the Atlanta Hawks, they had this like really coveted draft. Was it the third pick?
Yes.
It was the third pick.
Third
and
or-
they trade.
are you talking about last year?
Third. No,
So
when we
they
drafted
took
Trey.
Trey.
Yeah.
It was 3, and they traded with the Dallas Mavericks. And the Dallas Mavericks took one of the a guy who a lot of people had going number 1, and Luka, right? And then Atlanta took Trey, and they're like, he's the next Steph Curry, and everyone's like, oh, Travis Schlenk knows what he's doing. It's been a couple of years. We've seen these guys play. Who won that draft trade? I know this is a played out argument, but we haven't had it personally, and we definitely haven't had it with Andy. So, Micah, who won the Luka Trae trade, my man?
Might seem like a homer, but I think Atlanta won because we basically used that draft to leverage the future of our team. We made a lot of moves, got out of some bad contracts, and we got some bright players between Trae and turned into Trae and Hunter and Cam Reddish. So we flipped that into a lot of good picks who could potentially be the foundation of our franchise come in the next few years. So,
Ryan, rebuttal.
I love Trae Young. Let me preface it with that. But
This is just like when you were like, okay, listen.
no, this
they might
won't
not be the
nearly
best front
from
office.
They're just not the worst. So I'll go over some things. In their head-to-head, they're split 1-1. We played them. They played each other twice. Luka's won 1. Trae has won 1. In their head-to-head, Luka has the edge in points per game by 2. He's out rebounding him, of course. But, I don't think Trae's ever going to be a big rebounder. Trae's leading in assists, and their steals are dead even. Here's the big thing, though, where we were briefly talking about this before the show, Lionel. I think the advantage that Luka has is he has Rick Carlisle. He has one of the better NBA coaches coaching him, whereas Trae Young has
LP.
Yeah, Lloyd Pierce, who's supposed to be a defensive-minded coach, but yet you have not seen the returns on the court.
Where was the evidence of that, though? He was a good defender.
Yeah, I think Philly was just a good team. The thing, though, that I think that really tips it is before this season went on hiatus, the Mavericks are in the playoffs. They would be one of the teams out in the West in a tougher conference. And they were the most efficient NBA offense, not this season, but ever. Better than the Golden State Warriors 2 years ago, better than KD Warriors, better than the 96 Bulls. They wasted no possessions. They put the ball in the bucket better than anybody else, and they did it in an efficient rate, better than any team has ever done it in the history of the game. And your main ball handler, the man that runs that offense, is Luka Doncic. I love Trae to death. I think Luka has the slight edge on him right now.
Bunker.
Yeah, I mean, Luka's better than Trae. I don't feel qualm about saying that. He's better than him today. Trae, I mean, defense is part of it. If we're having a conversation about comparing the players, I mean, Trae is statistically the worst defensive player in the NBA. He can't guard anybody. So that's not good. But obviously he's got a lot going for him offensively as well. But, I mean, if you're just comparing the two guys and how good they are today, Luka Doncic is a better basketball player than Trae Young is right now. The thing that makes the argument interesting for me is it's still way too early to say. They're both incredibly young, and neither one of them has won anything. Even if the Mavericks make the playoffs this year, they're not winning a championship. So Cam Reddish is the X factor. Like Cam Reddish, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm ridiculous. Cam Reddish might be like amazing. Like he might be one of the 10 best players in the NBA 3 years from now, 4 years.
Did you see that poll before that season started for them?
Yeah.
And they polled all the rookies. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
they voted him most likely to have the best career.
And we didn't get it at first, right? Remember Cam Reddish, the first couple months of the season looked like a bum. Like he looked overmatched. He looked nervous. He didn't look physically ready at all. But as the season went on, it's like, okay, I see this. I see what he's doing here. Okay, he's got this skill set that I didn't know he had. Obviously, he's a great defensive player. So, I mean, we're gonna have to check back in. I know it sucks. It's a lame thing to say when we're trying to debate it right now. But like 3 or 4 years from now, it's going to be – I have a hard time believing that Cam Reddish and Trae Young won't be better than Luka Doncic. So eventually, I think the Hawks are going to win the trade. But if it's just Luka versus Trae today, I mean, you know, Luka's better than he is. Trae's amazing. He's great. Started in the All-Star game. He's awesome. But Luka Doncic is like – he's an MVP candidate already right now.
Yeah.
But the Hawks –
29-9-9 right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid how good he is. And I know people want to – whenever you say that here, people get mad because you're a hater because Trae and all that stuff. But no, Luka Doncic is, like you said, efficient. He's statistically putting up one of these seasons that you just don't see. And he's like 22. Like he's in his second season also. So those two guys. But the good thing is Trae's also awesome. So it's not like a landslide between the two of them. Luka's better, but it's not a landslide. Mm-hmm. The Cam Reddish makes it really fascinating for a really long time, though, to me.
Do you think that it matters that Luka is as close as we can get in this day and age to a surefire transcendent talent on that team versus a bunch of has the tools, could be good that we've got on the Hawks? Like, does it make a difference that going into the draft, we were like, this guy's going to be really good versus, you know, like, well, we could assemble all of the draft picks.
Yeah. And I also think the thing – I don't know. I hated the argument that like Luka wouldn't be as popular in one city versus another city. That like Trae was like for the culture pick and all that stuff. Like I guess if Luka's scoring 30, 10, and 10 for his career and winning championships, I think Atlanta would be on board
right behind him.
Yeah,
like.
He would have to be winning, though, because as we've seen with Matt Ryan, it doesn't matter how good he is if he doesn't bring the ring.
Sure, but
Micah won't like him.
But the winning obviously matters. Like, look how popular Joseph Martinez is. It's not like Joseph Martinez is like a demographic representation of what Atlanta looks like. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he is parts of Atlanta, but it's not like everybody looks at Joseph and says, that's what Atlanta is to me, but he's fucking great and they win all the time. So everybody loves him. So am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah. I mean, you do whatever you want, man. We're not on Apple Podcasts, so we can do whatever we want. That's fine.
Okay, at some point there's going to be a lasagna ready and I'm going to have to probably go.
Okay. Oh yeah.
But not yet.
You do what you need to, Bunker. We freestyle it. Mark, do you have anything that you need to add that you feel hard pressed to add, or can we move on to Paul Pierce and why he sucks?
No, I want to add. But I just think context is so important in this thing because Luka went into a better situation already, and we completely nuked our whole organization in the years preceding Trae Young coming here. And I think Trae is already on the way to being a top 5 point guard in the league. And I think that, like you said, with Cam Reddish, I know the first couple months of the season, like this dude couldn't go on a fast break one-on-one without getting stripped. And now, like the last couple, like the second half of the season, he proved to be a better defender so far than Hunter. And he is explosive, and he's never afraid to go and try to dunk on somebody or step up to the moment. And I think all in all, it'll work out, better. Like, I think it'll work out for us better just because we have those two pieces versus one. And I think Trae Young, the defense is a big thing. Luka doesn't really play defense either, though. And I just think that he sort of gets underrated in this young class, and it's probably because of all the losses, but we've been snake bitten, and I think all in all, it'll even out, and, maybe it won't be like the discussion that we always go back to, oh, Trae and Luka. Maybe it'll change. The narrative will change eventually.
Trae's certainly not the reason we're bad, but he's certainly the reason we have this many wins.
Yeah.
So he's bad for our future draft picks.
No, Luka is bad for their future draft picks, whereas Trae is great for our future draft picks and to build a great team.
I got you. All right.
It's
Moving
a
right
bad
along.
roster. It's a really bad roster.
It's not a good roster.
And LP is not a good coach.
No.
He might not be.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Clint. I think we're almost at that point where they might start going after other big name free agents. Like they feel like they've got the foundation that's almost there. It's going to be interesting to see who counts as a big name free agent when they decide to go for it, though. Are they going to go for guys that are big now, or are they going to go for? Is it time for that next generation of kids to come up and sort of like start supplanting? Instead of it being Kyrie and KD, is it time for not Devin
Edwards?
Yeah,
I just don't. I hope
saying?
they just don't throw a wrench in the whole process by trying to bring some. I feel like it should be like a sort of like a mid big name. How like the Warriors picked up Iguodala, and it's like
Really put him
not
over the
necessarily
top.
like a big star who's going to want all the shots, but like a guy who does everything great.
Kevin Durant has entered the chat, and you're not allowed to say process without Sam Hinkie being in the chat, Marco. Okay. All right, moving right along. Paul Pierce. Who needs him? So you guys know Paul Pierce. He won a championship with the Celtics.
Just one.
It was just the one.
Just
yeah. Isn't he the one who had to leave to have diarrhea in the middle of a game?
Yes.
Or he had it
That was
on the
Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
That's our guy.
Okay, perfect. Well, Paul Pierce is mostly known for being the least popular of the big three in Boston, and also being an ESPN analyst right now. I think he works for ESPN. So Paul has opinions on things, and he recently released his top 5 NBA players of all time. I'm going to tell you those players, and I want you guys to tell me what everyone on the internet realized was missing from this list. Okay. Michael Jordan, who obviously, Kareem, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, and Kobe Bryant. Is there something that's missing there, do you think?
Detlef
Is there
Schrempf.
someone?
Disrespect needs to end now.
That's
Sorry.
another one we don't slander in this house.
Yeah.
So LeBron James, man. Now here's the thing that makes this super interesting. Paul Pierce put out a top 5 all-time list 2 years ago, and LeBron was on that list. Bill Russell wasn't. What happened? Is Paul Pierce like? What's wrong with Paul Pierce? Bunker, you're a media personality, just much like Paul Pierce is.
Yeah, we're the same.
What's his problem, man? What's going on?
Here's the thing about Paul Pierce for me, and I'm sure we've all known guys like this. He was so good at one thing for so long that he got away with not having to get good at anything else. Like the kid who was popular in high school because he was good at sports, but like if you got to know him, didn't really bring that much else to the table. It's like, oh, cool, he's here now.
How'd you get this job?
Good game
you knew
last
somebody.
Thursday. Right, but the problem is, and ESPN does this all the time. I don't know why they haven't figured this out yet by now. Is that like that doesn't matter on TV? Like if you're not good at talking or having interesting thoughts, okay, good. You were good at basketball in the early 2000s and in the 90s, but no one gives a shit about. Like Jalen Rose was good at basketball. He was a good player. I don't think he was ever an all-star, but he's interesting as shit. So they put him on TV all the time, and people like it because he's he's a unique personality. Paul Pierce he does this where he starts talking, and I don't think he knows exactly what he's going to say. Like I think he just thinks, all right, I'm isolated on the wing. I'm going to figure it out in this conversation. But he doesn't figure it out a lot of times. Like he just goes, and then who knows what might happen. Bill Russell is out of the top 5 now, or in the top 5 now, because he didn't know what he was going to say, and then he said it. I don't know that ESPN – the thing that ESPN does a bad job of once they hire these people is developing. Like, there's got to be some kind of, like, talent development process. Yes, Paul Pierce is a Hall of Fame basketball player, but that doesn't mean he's a Hall of Fame broadcaster.
He's terrible.
Like, he's terrible, and he hasn't gotten any better. In fact, he may have gotten worse because they're putting him in more prominent spots. They got to have people that coach these guys. Like, otherwise, Paul Pierce is just going to – because what he sees guys like Stephen A. Smith and whoever else at ESPN.
Take artists.
Yeah, they say controversial things, and they get attention for them. But the difference is they can articulate their thought process, even if it's wrong, in an entertaining way. He just will say outlandish stuff, and then he's like,
yeah, he can't explain it.
Yep, that's what I think. And it's like, but why, Paul?
Yep.
Love the game. Like, damn it. Fuck. Now we got 10 more minutes in this segment, and Paul Pierce doesn't know what he's talking about.
And he's not even like Chuck.
When Michelle Beadle was hosting those NBA shows with Paul Pierce and Jalen and those guys, you could see it on her face sometimes how mad she'd be. That,
Michelle Beadle hated him.
Fucking Paul Pierce, you've done it again. You've ruined another segment.
Well, it's
Michelle
like,
Beadle's a quality sports analyst.
God, she's good. She's so good.
Chuck's got Charles Barkley's got some really interesting takes on the league, right? But he at least, like, they all make sense. Like, you could develop a model and they make sense according to Chuck, right? Like, you could if I gave you like 10 opinions, you could pick the ones that Charles Barkley would have, because they all like match with him, and like he explains them and they don't always make sense to rational people, but at least you could tell his brain's working behind it. And then he also has Shaq, which is great. I'm a TNT guy, so
it's the best show.
Yeah, it is. It is.
ESPN Radio, if you're listening, we will give you hot takes.
Ernie Johnson is, in my opinion, the best at that job.
Oh, for sure.
Oh God, he
can do anything
in all of broadcasting.
So who's worse, Paul Pierce or Booger McFarland?
Kendrick Perkins.
Paul Pierce.
Oh God.
Kendrick Perkins.
Ryan Hollins. I'll give you a list of guys.
Oh, he is horrible. He is horrible.
Jason Witten. Marco, tell me, what do you think is wrong with Paul Pierce, man? Do you have anything to add? You looked like you had a little twinkle in your eye there.
Oh, yeah, I do. So Paul Pierce that's the lasagna?
Lasagna's ready.
Hey,
Okay.
Andy, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
Before you go, we need to get one thing out of you. We do this for everyone that comes on. I'm going to share it with you real quick, and you're going to give us your week-by-week breakdown of the Falcons schedule, and we're going to put you on record.
Sure.
Do you have time for that, Andy?
Yeah. I'll rapid fire it.
All right. So you should be seeing my screen now.
I see it.
Week 1, Seattle.
Loss.
Week 2, at Dallas.
Loss.
Week 3, Chicago comes to town.
Win.
At Green Bay.
Loss.
Carolina here.
Win.
At Minnesota.
Win.
Detroit.
Win.
At Carolina.
Win.
Denver comes to town.
Win.
Bye week. At
Loss.
New Orleans.
Loss.
The Raiders come to town.
Win.
New Orleans comes to town.
Win.
At the Chargers.
Win.
Tampa Bay.
Win.
At Kansas City.
Loss.
By how many?
Shit.
Go for it.
It's going to matter a lot. So, I don't know, by 9.
Okay. At Tampa Bay.
Loss.
All right. What's he at, Lionel?
10
You're
and
going
6.
way too fast. I didn't have it pulled up.
We'll tally it up.
I'm pretty sure it was 10 and 6.
I'll let you know in the.
It was a winning record.
I think they're going to be really good in the middle of the season.
Well, it was a joy having you
Yeah.
here.
Thanks so much, everybody. Andy Bunker, he's the host of the 92.9 The Game midday show. And I'm gonna post all your social crap in the credits on the video.
Thank you.
after.
I appreciate it, guys. It was awesome to hang out and talk.
Enjoy some lasagna.
Enjoy that lasagna. Tell Boone we said hi.
I will. He'll be happy to hear it. See you guys.
All right.
Okay. See ya.
That's good.
Do we even want to keep going now that our celebrities?
Sorry, guys. This is just be downhill from here.
I hate you guys. All right, Marco, tell me what's wrong with Paul Pierce.
I was just gonna say Paul Pierce is, definitely salty, and he has I think he perceives LeBron James as his rival. So, and then especially with all this time with no sports to talk about, he's bound. You give him the stage, and he's bound to take shots at his boy. But the twinkle that I had was that although in my top 3, obviously LeBron is there, I don't think it's as outrageous as the media made it to not put LeBron in your top 5. I really don't. Because there's people all the way from we got Bill Russell, obviously. We got MJ and Kobe obviously in there. You got people like Tim Duncan. I think Hakeem is definitely a top 5 guy, but people don't give him any love. And then the real deciding factor to me, though, is Bird and Magic. Bird accomplished more on a just as stacked team as LeBron has had. And Bird accomplished just as much in less time. So if someone wants to put them ahead of LeBron, I really don't see the problem with it.
I don't see how Larry Bird isn't on this list. And for me, the borderline top 5 pick, and Ryan and I were talking about this a little bit before the show started. My borderline pick on this list is Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
I think Kobe was a game changer, but I don't know if he's a top 5 player all time, if that makes sense.
The only reason I can agree with that is because he wasn't the best at his position. And and then that's why to me it's still a toss-up sort of with LeBron and Larry, because I don't give LeBron a clear nod. Obviously I'll put him above Larry, but I don't give him a clear nod over him. And Kobe obviously wasn't better than Jordan. So it, like you said, that to me might disqualify him from a serious top 5 that accounts for everything. But just what you had in your bag, your skills, I think it's MJ, Kobe, LeBron, Hakeem, then either Kareem or Shaq or something.
I'd probably go Shaq, but Larry Bird was filthy.
Are y'all putting Shaq over Tim Duncan?
Yeah.
Never.
I would.
Shaq.
I don't know.
And he was more dominant than Tim Duncan.
Yeah, physically dominant, yeah.
And Tim worked in the system really well.
Tim Duncan was a better basketball player, though. I'll say.
But Shaq was a 30 and 12 guy versus Tim Duncan, who was 20s and 12-ish, 10, 12-ish. So
I think the problem with Tim Duncan is that you're never going to be able to see what he did on a different team, right? So San Antonio's got a problem where a lot of their really good players are products of the Popovich system. Remember when Danny Green left the Spurs?
Yep.
And you found out that Danny Green wasn't actually,
a good player.
all that. But then Kawhi left, right?
And he's still great. But one thing against Tim Duncan to that point is that out of those 5 championships, I think he had 3 Finals MVPs, right?
2.
Because I think Tony Parker
3, yeah, 3 and 3 for Finals.
Tony Parker won one, and then Kawhi obviously won the other one.
But Shaq's a Finals MVP for all of his finals.
Well, except the year with D-Wade.
Yeah, because he has 4.
Even though, I mean,
this right here
had a lot to do with how open the lane was for D-Wade.
These 2 right here is where it sways me.
So Ryan's pointing
never
at
made a defensive team.
Yeah, Ryan's pointing at, for those of you on the audio only version.
Well, he never made first team. He made defensive teams, just not first team.
Tim Duncan had 8 all defensive first teams.
He made 3 to
But you also have to think Hakeem was in the league, who led the league in blocks for several years. He won a lot of first team defenses. So I mean,
but it was also, I would say, in Tim Duncan's era, it was power forwards were killing it. It was KG, Chris Webber, I'm missing names right now. I was about to go.
Here's 2 of them.
Well, Chris Webber was he
was a beast in his own right.
Towards the end, but end of his career.
Don't you think that Shaq's offensive ability is more important overall, right? And you can make up defense in certain ways. But you can't replace someone who could score at will.
Yeah, but I mean, in Duncan in his prime, I mean, look at their total points in their career. It's the same. It's a 2,000 point difference. That's a season.
What was the amount of games played though?
The funny thing was though
Not a game.
that Shaq really didn't.
Shaq had 23.7 points per game.
He didn't keep himself in shape, so he started fine at 32, and he just coasted his way. Like his last 5 or 6 years, it was like, yo, dude, you just need to hang it up. But I mean,
he ate himself out of the NBA.
Basically,
it's shocking though.
But for him to still be in front of Tim Duncan, in points and stuff.
Yeah, but Duncan dominated. If you take Duncan's last 3 years out,
that, it just lets you know how dominant he was.
Right, because Shaq loafed it for his last 4 or 5 years, and somehow he's still 4 points ahead of Tim Duncan.
Yeah, but Duncan also.
But I think Duncan played longer though.
He also went to the bench. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you can see where Duncan started to decline and take that bench role down.
Right.
So
it was way early.
Let's see. Games started. So
from 28 on.
He did start. He started. He was mostly a starter, but that was when they started managing.
Yeah, they really did start giving him limited.
But look, he still has all his games started. Every game he played, he started.
But look, minutes.
Okay.
28, 30,
yeah,
28,
but I mean, that's
28,
when Pop started the load management thing to extend his career.
Yeah.
Versus Shaq, who was just dude, he can't even get up off the ground to dunk like he used to. It was God.
Yeah, Phoenix Shaq.
It was more as an elbow to the face and a little baby hook.
Right, so but MJ at the end of his career too wasn't everything that he used to be.
But he was still 20.
We're talking about Wizards MJ.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's sort of what we're getting at. Is you're not talking about when you're talking about top of all time. You're not talking about the culmination of their career necessarily. You're talking about at their peak performance.
Yeah.
At Michael Jordan at his peak performance is the greatest basketball player that we have ever seen, all around.
38 points, 37 points a game.
And just that thing where he's what was it? Was he when he was messing with Dikembe Mutombo? He shot that free throw with his eyes closed.
Yeah.
We have never seen a man like that. You know what
nastiness
I mean?
all around.
Oh, just filthy.
But he's a liar.
Well, whatever. But LeBron too, you know what I mean? LeBron right now, if LeBron's career started this season, I don't think that you'd be able to make an argument that LeBron's one of the greatest of all time. It would be harder. But if you take peak LeBron, there's no
Miami Heat LeBron.
Yeah, so Shaq, we're not talking about Shaq didn't he go to the Celtics for a little bit?
Suns, the Celtics,
the Mavericks,
Cavs.
The Cavs. Yeah.
Was he a Maverick? No, he wasn't a Maverick.
I thought he was a Maverick.
I thought he went to Dallas.
No.
Anyway, we're not talking about that Shaq. We're not talking about Shaq as he was buying, was it Papa John's? Doesn't he own 60 Papa John's? Yeah, we're not talking about We're not talking about that Shaq. We're talking about Lakers Shaq. We're talking about the Shaq that won with Kobe and that one with D Wade. And when he won with D Wade didn't win again until he went with LeBron.
Right.
And D Wade is an incredible basketball player.
Yeah.
I think Shaq's got the edge on Tim, and the only reason I'm going to say that is because Shaq was good until he stopped trying. Shaq was good everywhere he went.
Yeah.
And Timmy, that's one of the reasons why Tom Brady's in Tampa. Because everybody who wants to say Brady's the greatest of all time is it's a Belichick thing. Well, now we're gonna find out, motherfuckers.
Wouldn't it be great if Brady just sucked?
Oh my God,
yes.
I would love it.
I'll say hi. I told y'all so.
I don't think it's gonna happen. Let's take. Do you want to do your logo game, Ryan?
Can we do it now?
Take a break. It's up to you.
Let's do it on the backside.
All right, let's take a quick break.
There's one thing I want to say about the whole Paul Pierce thing, though.
Oh yeah,
I watched his explanation supposedly on ESPN, and the funny thing was Jalen Rose did a better job defending his argument than Paul Pierce did for himself. So it's all right, and so Jalen Rose basically said he's all right, all people in his top 5 basically made names for their team, and they did like big contributions and putting their team on the map, and just as far as that. But LeBron has jumped around so much and hasn't done as much for a specific team.
The city of Cleveland has entered the chat.
But the funny thing was, like I said, I had to get that explanation from Jalen Rose.
Well, it's still baloney, man.
Not from the guy who actually made the argument.
It's complete baloney when his old list had him on there. That just makes him.
I like Andy's explanation, where like just because you're good at sports doesn't mean you're good at sports broadcasting. Like for every Tony Romo, there's 100 Booger McFarlands, and or what's the guy? Who's the guy who used to coach Golden State? Who's on?
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson. Oh my God!
And he's with Stan Van Gundy.
Yes, Jeff
Van Gundy.
Jeff Van Gundy guys on TV.
Miller.
Jeff Van Gundy wants to murder Mark Jackson. Like you could hear it. Like Mark Jackson opens his mouth, like, I told Steph Curry he better not be a homo, because if he was, I was gonna kick him off the team. And that's why they won all those championships, is because I said no homos on my team. And Van Gundy's just like, okay, bud. Like they sound like that's why they have to have a third announcer on that broadcast team, because otherwise Jeff would murder Mark Jackson. And it's because he's got
Reggie
like the
Miller's
worst
no better
taste.
though.
No, but
Reggie at least like Reggie is one of those guys that like he's always been Reggie Miller. You know what I mean? Like when you hire Reggie Miller, you were like, oh, this is Reggie Miller. It's going to be the same as having the player. Like he's got a. It's like hiring Shannon Sharp. You know what I mean? Like you know what you're getting. With Paul Pierce was the worst of the triplets in Boston, and they were just like, we need an NBA analyst
with a championship.
Right. We don't have Shaq and Charles. Let's get Paul Pierce is out of work. Let's bring, Kevin Garnett had a show on ESPN where he would do like the coach's corner or something.
Oh,
like that,
what was it called?
Yeah.
It was on
Area
TV.
21.
Area 21. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sort of bad on TV, but he's funny.
Right, but that's the thing, is it's Kevin Garnett. Paul Pierce. I can't think of a single thing about Paul Pierce that I want to watch on TV. Ray Allen. I would watch Ray Allen before I watch Paul Pierce. And Ray Allen is.
I've watched Ray Allen train his kids on Instagram just because
He got game. Ray Allen.
Jesus Shuttleworth is by far superior to Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce is the worst. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do some image association games. We're going to talk about let me pull my list up. We're going to talk about the golf match that took place between some goats this past weekend and how it tangentially relates to the Falcons. We're going to talk about our worst case scenario for the Falcons and some Atlanta restaurant talk. We'll see you around the bend after the break.
All the time.
You get to listen to find out.
Capital T.
It's like instead of Tebow time, we'll just have a recurring segment where we all just talk about how Michael Thomas is overrated.
Soft, like shaman.
Soft. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, this is I'm gonna wave my hand so that when I'm editing this later, I remember that this is the part. And we are coming back. Welcome back from the break. This is the Fish and Grits podcast. So we lost Andy.
The lasagna.
Still can't find him.
To lasagna. I'm sad about that. You guys, where does Andy Bunker sit in the all-time list of Andys for you?
Let me think of all the Andys I know. Andy from Toy Story. There's Andy Dalton.
Andy Cohen.
Do Andrews count as Andys?
I mean, I
No,
think
it's gotta
most
be Andy.
Andys are-
They
just
got to
Andy.
go by Andy.
They got to go by Andy. Andy Dick.
Andy Dick. Yeah, probably he's pretty high on that Andy list.
He might be the best one I know.
I'd put Bunker in my top 5 probably. That Andy kid from Toy Story.
Hey man,
was
you
a-
got Scrappy, oh yeah?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, my God.
Just throw away your toys.
Like what? Andy from Toy Story was such a douche. All right, so now we're gonna try a new segment. It's gonna be image association. I'm gonna let Ryan talk about this. This is Ryan's baby. Ryan, Explain yourself.
So some of you might have seen a trend going on with certain teams' social media, and some of the bigger alphabet networks have picked it up and done some segments with it. I saw Colin Cowherd do one the other day. Yeah.
Colin Cowherd is a bottom 5 Colin.
So essentially what happens is someone displays a team name or a team logo, and then you know 1, 2, or however many people off the top will then say the first player that comes to their mind for that team.
Do we just blurt it out, or do you?
No, I'm gonna give you numbers, and there's only one of them that I'm gonna jump the queue on because I'll go last on all of these because I know it's coming. But it kind of gives you a perspective into that person's mind and who they think of for that team. Undoubtedly, Micah's list will be comprised of completely 80s and 90s players.
Julio Jones.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys.
Oh, God.
And we'll start with the blank slide. You should all be seeing a white picture here. Since Zoom has set the order for me, I'll go ahead and go Lionel 1, Marco 2, Micah 3, and then I'll be 4. So without further ado, and I randomized these. These are in no particular order to me.
You can randomize PowerPoint slides?
No pictures.
If you have the right extensions.
Ooh, you plebeian. All right, here we go.
Got to use the command line.
Lionel.
Jake Fromm.
Herschel Walker.
Herschel.
David Green. Oh, and by the way, for those that are only listening via audio, this was the Georgia G.
Hey, you should blurt out which team it is before.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay, good.
All right, so next slide. As PowerPoint, there we go, is the Brooklyn Nets.
Kevin Garnett.
Dr. J.
Jason Kidd.
Kenyon Martin.
Lynn.
Kenyon Martin.
Oh, yeah. Kenyon Martin. Hey, Martin, man. I'll never get over that team. That was Jeff, Jason Kidd, and Kenyon Martin. That was a fun team to watch.
Yeah, I was watching Vince Carter on All the Smoke talking about how he was on that team a couple years later. It was pretty good interest. Like, if y'all check that out, if y'all have time, it's a pretty good interview.
All right, next is the Alabama Crimson Tide.
I can't say Nick Saban.
You can't. Does it have to be a player? You can say Nick Saban.
Yeah, you can say. I mean, preferably a player. Most
Eddie Lacy.
Tua.
Mike Shula.
Now, most of you aren't going to remember this guy. Micah might, but Tyrone Prothro.
That's familiar.
If any of y'all have ever seen the wide receiver, the catch that the Alabama wide receiver made where he reached around the guy and caught
Yeah,
that's him. That forever will be stuck in my mind.
He also had an injury that was so bad they started calling it the Prothro.
Yeah, it was not a pretty injury.
Yeah.
He should have been a quarterback.
Yeah. All right. Next is the Sacramento Kings.
Buddy Hield.
Peja Stojakovic.
Jason Williams, white chocolate.
Floppy Divots.
Floppy D.
All right. Everybody's going to love this next one. It's the Houston Astros.
Oh.
Evan Gaddis.
I'll just say McCann.
Altuve.
Jeff Bagwell.
Bags. Should have said Bags.
Hey, fuck the Astros.
Bagwell, Biggio, and Mike Hampton will forever be eternalized in my mind as Houston Astros.
It should have been the last time the Astros existed.
Yeah. All right. On to the Seattle Mariners.
A-Rod.
Ken Griffey.
Griffey.
Yeah, Griffey. I think it's hard not to see that logo and not think of Griffey. You ready, Lionel?
Yeah.
Your Atlanta Five Stripes.
If you don't say Joseph Martinez, I'm not friends with any of you. Or I will also accept Miguel Almiron.
I was gonna say Miggy.
Okay,
You know, I
acceptable.
like Joseph better.
Yeah, Joseph.
All right, so I'm gonna go Joseph Martinez.
Thank
Now
God.
here's where I
Might
jumped
go
the queue.
gangbang just because.
I think Miggy was a better player, but Joseph's I mean, come on.
Miggy was the straw that stirred the drink.
Hey. All right. So we'll go to our next door neighbors, the Orlando City FC. And the first person I think of is Joseph Martinez.
Joseph Martinez
Joseph.
Joseph.
or Dom Dwyer. Remember when Orlando broke the MLS domestic transfer record to sign Dom Dwyer?
Yes.
And he wanted to score less goals in MLS than I did.
Oh, man.
That logo is
Orlando,
sort of trash.
it's terrible. It looks like
Orlando.
a insurance firm.
But like a bad
Looks
one.
like- yeah, or like a bank.
It looks like a bank.
like a credit union.
Yeah.
Like an Orlando area credit union.
All right. Speaking of bad logos, we can move on to the University of Miami.
I'm gonna go with. Oh wait,
No, it's not your turn.
Did Ray Lewis play for the U?
Yes, he most definitely did.
All right. The murderer Ray Lewis.
Oh,
I'm gonna go
Alleged.
Ken Dorsey.
Whoa,
really? Of all players, you
Terrible.
think?
That's the first player that came to my mind.
Hey, I mean,
worse.
Yeah, you said pro throw dollar. Shut up. Like, come
well, at
on,
least he
dude.
was immortalized for something.
It was actually Brad Kaya, but I went and said.
Good old Ed Reed.
I'm gonna go Clinton
Ooh, Ed
Portis.
Reed.
Portis.
Portis and his multiple
Was Clinton
personalities.
involved in some like fraud?
Yeah,
A lot like
He's
heavy.
gotten in a lot of trouble recently. All right, your Baltimore Orioles
George W. Bush.
because he
What's
threw out a
my
pitch.
man?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Cal.
Oh no, that was
was
Kevin
the Rangers.
Spacey. That was Kevin Spacey in House of Cards.
Oh, hey, you know.
Sorry.
You might as well have been a president. That show was so good for a second.
Al Ripken Jr.
Cal.
Rafael Palmeiro.
Ooh, good one. Albert Bell for me.
The Orioles are trash, by the way. I'm surprised no one said
choice.
Chris Davis.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a part of their recent struggles. The Miami Heat.
Oh, that's easy.
D Wade.
Alonzo Mourning.
Wade County.
Dan Marley hitting a half-court shot during halftime.
Dan Marley.
Dan Marley.
was
He
on the
won
Heat.
a contest for a kid. doing
I
that.
remember when Antoine Walker went there and his head was so big.
I totally forgot he was there.
Cybertwan. Yeah, he won a championship.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
But in all honesty, it's probably D-Wade.
It's got
Or Udonis Haslem.
White Chocolate also won a championship on that team.
He
and
did.
Gary Payton.
And
Birdman.
All right. The Colorado Rockies.
Oh, Trevor Story.
Nice.
I'm drawing a blank for the Rockies.
Just say Trevor Story.
Trevor Story.
Good.
Dante Bichette.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm in the same era. Larry Walker.
Yeah.
The University of Southern California Trojans.
Mark Sanchez.
O.J. Simpson.
Alleged
Lindell
murderer.
Who?
White. Lindell White.
Hey,
Lindell.
I'll take his backfield mate in Reggie Bush.
Reggie.
Here you go, Lionel. You ready? The Cubbies.
Oh, that's got to be Mark Grace.
Hey, nice.
Sosa.
Ryan Sandberg.
Nice. Baseball has been very, very good to me. It's Sammy Sosa every day.
He was the
All
cork
right.
in the bat.
All right. Now, Micah, you might struggle with this next one.
Oh,
LA Galaxy.
Landon Donovan.
Didn't when that one fool was that the team that Beckham played for when he came here?
yeah.
Yep.
I'll go with him.
Beckham.
Zlatan.
Zlatan.
Bradmanovic.
Here you go, Marco. This one's just for you. Your Florida State Seminoles.
Jameis Winston.
Going with Prime, baby.
The freak of nature, Greg Jones.
Ooh.
Greg.
R.I.P. Eric Reed. Or Dexter Reed, excuse me.
Yeah, Dexter.
I'm going to go Peter Warwick. The Minnesota Timberwolves.
Jimmy Butler.
Troy Hudson.
Wow.
What's his name?
Yeah. Wow, I forgot about him.
I'm going to say him because I actually met him. He was a really cool guy. Tom Gugliotta.
Okay.
You met the Googs?
Yes.
Where?
When I worked at a country club in Atlanta, he was a member.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm going Kevin Garnett all day.
I should have went Latrell Sprewell.
I should have gone KG, but the first thing I thought of was how Jimmy Butler killed that team.
All right. Your Atlanta Braves.
Dale Murphy.
Oh, that's a good one. Chip, though.
Hank Aaron.
Smoltz for me.
Hey, Ryan. So did you see that Homestar Runner cartoon where Homestar was dressed up as Dale in like the baby blue uniform, but he had the bat that he had was like a lightsaber?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to dress up as for Halloween last year, but no one.
Super obscure.
Homestar Runner as Dale Murphy, and like no one would have gotten it. So I just
They
want to
probably
say,
would have slipped by me at first too.
Yeah. Anyway,
Weren't they
Dale
your
should be in the
classmates,
Hall.
Micah?
No,
Murphy?
they weren't my classmates. They went to they graduated from my school, but they weren't. They were older.
see,
okay.
that's why the guys who made Homestar Runner, that's why they haven't been doing cartoons recently, is because Sean McVay also got them head coaching jobs.
All right. The Orlando Magic.
Dwight Howard.
Penny Hardaway.
T-Mac.
Jameer Nelson. I can't.
Jimmy.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. That's
Why
what
make
I
that
always
face?
say.
the guy who cost them a championship.
The
I know,
guy
right?
that's built like Strong Bad, but shorter.
They didn't give Lou Alston any.
Check it, email.
Oh my God. Ray for Austin was destroying the Lakers, and it's just like, oh, Jameer Nelson's back.
Jameer, come here.
Costa lose us this series.
All right. Here's another one. The other football club for Los Angeles.
Oh,
I know they're only 2 years old, so
what's his nuts?
Bea,
No, they're striker.
Vela.
No, didn't they have one of the Dos Santos brothers?
Yeah, they did. He was there.
Yeah.
I thought he was a center mid though.
Maybe. So Gio might be the striker. Anyway, one of the Dos Santos. The only real answer is Bob Bradley. I'm trying to figure out how Bob Bradley keeps getting coaching jobs. Bob Bradley, fuck you.
I'm gonna go with Joseph, just off loose association.
I don't know.
Yeah, Carlos Vela for me.
Oh, Vela's a good one.
Yeah. And then to bring it all on home, quite literally, the Atlanta Hawks.
Dikembe Mutombo.
Dominique.
Atlanta Hawks legend Carmelo Anthony.
You mean Rasheed Wallace?
Hey, Dikembe Mutombo, when I worked at OK Cafe, he would come in like once every week, and we would call him Mr. Mutombo, and that is the tallest man I've ever seen in my life.
He's like a legit 7'1", right?
Dude, he's gigantic. I don't understand. That was fun, Ryan.
Yeah.
Let's do that next week.
I liked it. Okay.
Oh, I do that like when Jessica's trying to like toss trash into the trash can or trying to like toss me something. I smack it away from her in the house and I go, and she gets so mad. She's like, here, catch this. She's like tossing me like frozen peas or something like that out of the freezer, and I smack it to the ground. I would tumble her. She's like, I should never have let you watch that TV. All right, next segment. Let's talk about some golf. First off, Marco, do you feel better now that we talked about the NBA for an hour and 15 minutes?
Oh, I feel so good.
Can we not talk about it
Do
again?
you
for a
feel
while?
vilified?
We talked about everything we could possibly talk about with you.
So are we good now for a while? You won't complain?
I've got an extra topic for the NBA next week, but
Good luck fitting
Ryan,
it
why are you
in
trying to
on
bring up the
Micah's
NBA?
thesis. Micah's thesis on quarterbacks. All right, so let's talk about some golf.
Can we comment on Micah's thesis when he has it, or are we all muted?
We're all going to be – I'm just going to have a picture of me held up in front of my camera. I'm leaving. I got other stuff to do. All right, so golf. I don't know anything about golf. I don't like golf. I don't care if golf exists. None of it matters to me at all. I got a bunch of friends who are like, oh, you should learn how to play. It's a really great way to get away from the wife and kids. And the way I'm looking at it is if you've got to go spend that much money to get away from your wife every weekend, you should probably not be married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ryan, stop talking to Nicole. So there was a golf game the other day. I don't know if you heard about this, but it was Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning versus Phil Mickelson and one Thomas Brady. Now there were some comments going on. At one point, somebody said to Brady that watch out for Tiger. He's a closer, not like the Atlanta Falcons. And Tom Brady said some other baloney about the Falcons that was unacceptable and not worth it. So
it's not the Falcons that scare me. It's the Eagles that give me the cringe, which makes no sense, Tom.
Yeah, he said it's not the Falcons I cringe. It's the Eagles. He doesn't know how to talk.
So I've got something for that. Don't get too far into it. Let me talk about that. But first, this marks another situation where Tom Brady has been sort of talking trash recently. So Eli Manning joined Twitter and social media recently.
Really?
Yeah, and Tom Brady tweeted at him. He said, "Oh man, just like Eli, it doesn't show up till the fourth quarter." So a couple of questions. So the golf match, the match too. It raised a ton of money for charity. It was the most
20 million.
It was the most watched sporting event of the past however long because of the coronavirus. It averaged 6.5 million live viewers, which
They said it was the most watched golf event ever.
Because no one else is watching anything. I didn't watch it. Did you guys watch it? Of course.
I watched a little bit. It was like one of those casual watches.
I wanted to watch it, but something just didn't have me in front of the screen at the time, so I tried to DVR it. But just in lieu of this, I went and watched highlights because I did not actually watch it.
Okay, so I have a theory. Tom Brady has a really fantastic social media presence, right? Like he's got some really good zingers on social media. But when he says that he doesn't cringe the Falcons, right? It shows that Tom Brady is actually not a good shit talker
at all.
He has a really good team. So he's got somebody who, but Tom Brady doesn't have time to do this because he's drinking raw water and kissing his son on the mouth for too long. So like somebody was like, hey, Tom, we should say this about Eli Manning. Out of those four, right? So you've got some really high level competitors, right? You've got Papa John, you've got Tiger Woods, you've got Phil Mickelson, you've got Tom Brady. Who's the better trash talker for your money?
You said Papa John.
Yeah. Peyton Manning. Papa John.
Okay.
He's Papa John now. I don't associate that man. I don't associate that man with football anymore. I associate him with pizza, with racist pizza. I associate him with Peyton Manning and Papa John, standing in the kitchen in mom jeans. Peyton wearing mom jeans and like white dad sneakers with his Broncos jersey tucked in. You know, like not his Colts jersey. He retired already, so wearing the Broncos jersey. Ungrateful prick. Talking about it's just like, oh, I gotta call Eli and see if he wants a pizza. Like, as soon as Peyton started doing those commercials, I stopped caring about his football career. Same with JJ Watt. They're now associated.
The Watt brothers.
Yeah, cardboard crust pizza. Just like Antonio Brown will always be associated to me with that Pizza Hut commercial where he was trying to do the hype.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He said,
I forgot about
that. Was cringe.
Watch me. Who's the best trash talker out of those four? My money is on Phil Mickelson.
It'd be good money.
Phil Mickelson was like a slick trash. He's like a technical trash talker because he knows so much about golf. Like everything they would do, he would like analyze it and just like subtly like poop on them.
Do you think Phil's one of those guys who's like constantly talking trash to you during the golf match? Yeah. Like he's just, and like you don't pick up on it but like in his head, it's just like this amateur.
Yeah.
I think that's him.
Because he kept on reading them. He just kept doing that.
Do you think Peyton Manning and Eli Manning actually talk smack to each other? Like, do you think that they have a normal sibling rivalry? Or do you think they're both just so goofy and corny? Like, imagine what that house must have been growing up. Archie's over there in New Orleans, right? Losing constantly, being terrible, as New Orleans is wont to do. And then the Manning brothers, Peyton with like his giant head and Eli with his stupid face. And they're like fighting. Mom, Peyton won't let me be the quarterback.
I want to be the quarterback.
I want to be the quarterback.
I feel like Peyton always picked on Eli.
I would
nonstop and put his nuts on his head like he did the girl at Tennessee.
Eli for a checkup.
Or where she just headbutts Eli.
The Peyton Manning, like the red splotches where he took his helmet off, were my favorite thing about watching him play football. And then I saw them on Matt Ryan, and I was like,
well,
I think Eli is very obviously the younger brother, right? You know what I mean? Like, he didn't go to Tennessee; he went to Ole Miss, right? Mm-hmm. And he's nowhere near as universally acclaimed as Peyton is, but he beat Brady twice in the Super Bowl.
Has just as many chips as his brother.
Right, but one time he did it by beating Sexy Rex. Peyton did it by beating Sexy Rexy. Eli did it by beating the GOAT twice.
True that.
So you're saying his rings have more weight to them?
Yeah, and I think Peyton is just like, oh, Eli, we have the same number of rings. And Eli's like, whatever. You only won because of the defense, and they're arguing with each other. Like they're doing that sibling thing. But I think Peyton is probably pissed that he never got a chance to beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
because everyone's like, Peyton's one of the best. Tom's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
But if Peyton had beaten Brady, we'd all just be like, Peyton Manning is the best quarterback of all time. Fuck Tom Brady. That guy's the worst.
What's the other brother's name for a chocolate chip cookie?
Who cares?
Gosh. Yeah, I don't know.
Is it like Sterling or something? What's that?
It's like the Hemsworth. Right. It's like the Hemsworth brothers. There are too many of them.
I think it's like Carson or something like that.
Carson.
You know that there was a Hemsworth brother in Westworld?
Yeah. There was a what?
There's a Hemsworth brother in Westworld.
Really?
Oh, have you seen this man?
Cooper?
Yeah.
What's he look like?
It's like Eli and Peyton were merged together.
No, apparently he had a promising football career as well as like a receiver.
He was a receiver.
But he had like
wow.
Whoa.
That's not a real picture.
So for anyone listening to this, do yourself a favor and go look up Cooper Manning.
There's no way that isn't a Photoshop from a Papa John's commercial.
Click that one where they're standing together.
Oh wait, what happened?
Those are some strong
look at that.
genes, my man.
Lord.
Splice.
Crazy.
Wait, is that?
But yeah,
I wonder.
He was a good football player, but then he I think he had like a back in some type of strange back condition.
Well, he's also 63.
He's 63. That's his age?
I'm just saying he looks like he's 63. He looks like the eldest.
How's he older than his dad? Or the same age as his dad?
Do you guys remember that Eli Manning commercial, that DirecTV commercial he did with Peyton, where they were like singing a song and like doing like a rap and like running through the city streets or something like that?
Yeah.
That's why Eli is a better post NFL person than Tom Brady, because Eli at least seems like he's funny. Like, I want to hang out with Eli Manning. I don't want to have anything to do with Tom Brady.
No.
Like Tom would be like, "Hey, can I come in your podcast?" And I'll be like, "You know what? I would say yes, but we're having Michael Thomas."
We're a little full.
Michael Thomas.
So Dante Fowler had a problem with these comments. Dante Fowler wants to kill Tom Brady twice.
Rightly so.
Right. Do you remember that picture of Drew Brees where his neck got all stretched out when he got sacked? And like we were worried for his health. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Dante Fowler wants to do to Tom Brady on every possession, every Bucks possession this next year. Does it make you feel good that our players are angry and want to kill Tom Brady because of something on social media? Or do you wish that they would all just turn their social media off and be more like Julio?
Well, I felt like he was the only one who said anything, right?
No, Grady did a little snide remark about him on his Instagram story.
The only one I saw that the Falcons page retweeted was Dante Fowler's.
Yeah. Because they can't retweet a story.
Oh, it was on the IG.
Yeah.
IG's just for models.
Oh.
Go on my OnlyFans.
I think Tom Brady's a terrible trash talker, and I think he takes any
horrible.
opportunity he can. What did he say? He said to Charles Barkley, "Take a suck of that."
Yeah. Take a suck at that, Barkley, as he hit it into the woods.
Tom Brady's the whitest person that I've like. Tom Brady is more Caucasian than Matt Ryan because Matt Ryan is just like, "Yeah, get the fuck off my field," and you're just like, "Damn, Matt Ryan, okay, I'm gonna get off your field." Tom Brady's just like, "My field's named after a razor." Like, there's guys with muskets. I hate Tom Brady. I'm sorry, I do. I've come full circle on it.
And that whole golf event was the Tom Brady show. Like, it was really just, let's look at Tom Brady. Because in the highlights, all I saw was Tom Brady.
And he can't even wear pants right.
Yeah, he ripped his pants, took big L's. I loved it. I love seeing him take these.
If you look at pictures of Tom Brady from when he was drafted, you understand why he's got such a chip on his shoulder. Like, I bet that dude was made fun of so hard. Have you seen his pre-draft picture?
Have you seen his combine workout?
Oh my God.
So now
he's wearing sweat shorts.
So now the man's like, I've got a supermodel and I had a supermodel wife before this one. And like actress Michelle Monaghan.
Oh yeah.
Oh Lord.
I forgot about that.
If you just
this
Google
whole thing is
pre-draft.
just he's just trying to like, anyway, I don't want to add Tom Brady to our feud list, but fuck you, Tom.
To answer your question, Peyton came in first in that quartet, but a close second is Phil Mickelson's Cavs. Have you never seen Phil Mickelson's Cavs?
No.
Here, just real quick for you.
Golly.
Oh my God. What is he?
Is he like storing golf balls in there?
There,
Right. How do you get a muscle on the lower part of your calf like that?
Isn't that steroids? Isn't that cheating? Do you think those are
arthritis.
Do you guys think those are implants or are those real?
They gotta
What
be.
do you pay for those calves?
Walk around so much. They have to look.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's move it. Let's move it on forward. So let's assume the NFL season happens. Okay. In some form. And let's assume that because the NFL season happens, the Atlanta Falcons also play football games. Going in order, starting with Ryan, what's the worst case scenario for the Atlanta Falcons?
We start off 1-4. I say this because at that point you're like, oh, here we go again. And you either have the option to fire your staff, which, would be a bad thing, but it's never a good thing for your playoff chances. Or you start trading players, and we don't have tradable pieces because of their contracts. You can't unload Matt, Julio, Debo, Grady. You can unload Tack.
Alex Mack, that's about the only
Yeah,
one.
really, you have two tradable pieces, really, that'll get you draft revenue. And Mac's not going to get you much because he's old.
Yeah, he's
You don't
34.
you don't think that there's a bubble team that would take Julio Jones? You don't think
what type
Cleveland
of
would
cap
take
penalty
Julio
we
Jones?
would take
Cleveland
by
would.
trading him?
Yeah, he's got too much guaranteed cap to move.
No, yeah, I mean, for that, logistically, no. But, of course, a lot of teams would try to work it out to get Julio on their roster.
Julio's not going anywhere.
Yeah. He'll be a Falcon forever, but
He's going to be our Larry Fitz.
Julio Jones has $58 million of dead money on his contract, so we can't trade him.
Yeah, and I think Matt's got like 64 or something
68.
like that. 68, yeah.
You're not trading those guys.
No, they're here to stay.
Marco, what's your worst case scenario for the Falcons?
My worst case scenario is because all these division games are backloaded and they're going to mean a lot, like going unwon in our division. Not winning a single division game. That's worst case scenario.
Going over?
Over. Even no matter what we do outside of that, if we come and drop a big goose egg.
It would be terrible because then that would lead to your decreased momentum going into the playoffs, right?
Right, and it'd make Tom really happy.
Fuck Tom Brady. Micah.
I think if we have something similar to a 2018 season where like key players get injured again, and it's like, all right, well, not only do you have to, you're going to deal with a new staff, but you got to look at, all right, are all these contracts worth it, and so on and so forth. And you might have to look at trying to move players to potentially rebuild the team because the guys aren't durable.
I'm going to say the worst thing that could happen to the Falcons, the worst case scenario, is that they finish 9-7. Miss the playoffs. Still got to fire. There's no way you're making the playoffs. You're not winning the division at 9-7.
No, you'll get that wild card 2 spot though.
Maybe.
No. I think the good parts of the NFC are good enough that you're going to see probably 10-6 as your 2 wild cards. I think that the skill gap in the NFC is that wide.
I think the NFC East might lower the thing a little bit.
They're by far the worst top to bottom division.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's like you could end up in a situation where like remember when Seattle went to the playoffs at 7-9 with Tavares Jackson?
Who'd they beat?
The Aints. With Tavares Jackson at quarterback, right? That was Pete Carroll's first season.
Was that Tavares? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Tavares. But if you look at the rest of the NFC, the Saints and the Bucks are probably going to take the 1 wild card slot and our division crown.
Yeah.
So then you've got to wrangle another wild card spot away from
like Minnesota or
Green Bay or Chicago with
or
Mr.
possibly
Foles.
the Cardinals or you also got Seattle and the 49ers.
Seattle and the Niners. You see what I mean? Like we're not that like 1-1A team like at the rest of the conference has. We're that.
So wait, did they
team.
add? So they added a 7th, right? 3 wild cards, right?
Just
Did
one
they
more team.
already do that?
It's just one more team, right? So 3 wild cards, but you still have. So if you look at you look at the NFC West, you have the Niners and the Seahawks.
And the Cardinals are on the come up, and the Rams. Who knows?
They're like everybody's picking them as like they're saying that Kyler Murray is going to be MVP. He's going to do all these crazy.
He's too short.
That's high expectation.
You look at the NFC. You look at the NFC North. You've got Green Bay and Minnesota,
and then the Bears now that have a quarterback.
Yep, and you've got to think that they're going to be beating up on Detroit, right? You look at the NFC East. You've got Philly,
the Cowboys,
Philly and the Cowboys. Yeah.
And then we've
Cowboys
got.
are a good team. They're not.
I just
great
don't.
Team.
I think that you've got. I think you've got 2 playoff teams in every division except for the NFC East, and I think it's going to be hard to fit the Falcons in. So if they go 9-7 and they miss the playoffs, you still got to fire your staff, right?
Oh yeah.
But then you're picking at like 17.
Again,
Maybe later than that.
Yeah, 9-7, you're probably like 20, maybe.
You're trying to pick up an impact player. You got to move up. It's the same shit, right? It's the same stuff that we see. And at 9-7, you can blame that on a coaching staff. That's not enough to blow the roster up, right? So then you're going to start iterating. You got to bring in a new coaching staff, and then they're going to go
another year
10-6. Worst case scenario for me is the Falcons go 9-7. Best case scenario, besides we win the Super Bowl, Matt Ryan gets hurt like week 1, and they tank for Trevor Lawrence.
You would take Trevor over our boy who Georgia passed up on?
Fields?
Yeah.
I think Trevor Lawrence looks more – I'm going to try to say this without coming across as like coded or anything like that. Like
He's pro ready.
No, I think he looks more poised. I think Fields is a more gifted quarterback based purely on skill, but I don't think that that's what matters in the NFL as much as being able to calmly execute the offense. It's like Mike Fultonevich, right? Mike Fultonevich is tool-wise the best pitcher on the Braves pitching staff. But when that man starts to, when he starts to lose it, it goes out the window.
What's it? His bracelet says something like "Don't be a bitch" or something like that.
Something like that. But you know what I'm saying?
He's
like
so
you've got really good quarterbacks in the NFL, But like Blaine Gabbert's a great example of this. Blaine Gabbert went in the first round. They thought he was going to go before Cam. He went to the Jags. He had no offensive line. And then it took him years to get back into as some form of a starting quarterback because he just couldn't manage the offense because he was seeing ghosts. Same when Matt, this is something Micah said before, when Matt Ryan gets sacked a lot in certain seasons, he starts seeing ghosts, and he's just
especially early on.
Chucking the ball to
I used to hate him for that.
Chucking the ball to Julio and throwing picks.
Not seeing the mic over the middle sitting in the little zone.
He forces he starts to force things because he's so worried about the pressure.
And I think Trevor Lawrence is coming from a more respected and predictable quarterback coaching tree than Justin Fields. Justin Fields is doing really good things at Ohio State. But if you look at, we've got Deshaun Watson came out of Clemson. This same quarterback pipeline at Clemson.
Taj Boyd did too, though.
Right, but
but that was the beginning of the Dabo.
But that
Ohio State at the very beginning.
Creates a lot of false positives
because they're in the Big Ten.
Yeah, but I don't think Justin Fields is one of those. I think that kid, he's going to win the Heisman next year, and I think he's going to.
I think he's going to run into a lot of the same problems that a lot of the mobile quarterbacks are now. Is that if you get on a team who doesn't have a coach who's willing to alter the offense to fit his strengths,
fire him.
Then he might struggle because that's part of the problem. A lot of them, it's like trying to fit a round peg in a square hole. It's like, I know what you can do, but I want you to play like this guy. Like, I want you to play like Peyton Manning. And it's like, but coach, I can run, I can throw.
It's like Bill O'Brien with Deshaun right now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Bill O'Brien's trying to turn Deshaun Watson into a pocket passer.
And then he trades his best weapon. All right, let's handicap you some more. Let's see what you got.
Man, when they traded DeAndre Hopkins, I thought it was like an Onion article. Like I was like,
I know, right?
Everybody watching the YouTube version of this, my daughter Violet has joined us. Violet just had her 3rd birthday yesterday. Violet, go play with your mommy. We're almost done.
Sponsored by B.
Right. Anybody who's listening to this, it's 10 o'clock. We record late at night. That's why my daughter's in here. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't want to come across as that, like, well, Justin Fields should be a wide receiver or a running back because you see how I feel about Lamar. But it's one of those things where, like, I think you're right, Micah, where like Justin Fields has less of the pocket passer pro quarterback training that Trevor Lawrence has, as far as like the way the offense is run at Ohio State compared to Clemson. I mean, they're both spread, right? But like the Clemson offense has way more pro pro style
Yeah.
progressions and facets, right?
One's more RPO and
Mhm.
and option based, and the other is more pro style.
Right. And so if you're going to go for that RPO option base, you need to sell out on the coaching staff, which is what Baltimore did with Lamar. But we've already talked about how Baltimore is probably, if not the best, the second best run franchise in the NFL. The only other example of that is Kansas City, that sold all the way out for Mahomes. But the other thing is Mahomes is a freak.
Once in a
So,
lifetime.
yeah, I don't think Justin Fields is a generational talent.
No.
But so I would tank for Trevor. I also think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be a more muted media personality, which is, I think, what Atlanta has been going for with a good many of their signings and draft picks, because Michael Vick went to prison.
Do you think,
though,
that
want to be under the radar?
One thing about Trevor Lawrence that sort of projects through to me whenever I see him on the field, like not in action and off the field, he just has such that, even though he's from Georgia, he has such that like laid back, lackadaisical. And I feel like when the competition's really on, I wouldn't go as strong as to say he shies away from it, but he almost tries to like play it cool in the face of adversity. And it's like he's playing it cool and just not naturally facing it. That's
he's
just
been groomed for the longest time, because Cartersville is actually a very, very good high school program.
Yeah.
It's been so for quite some time. And I don't know if you've ever seen their facilities out there, but it's an impressive place. But
I mean, facilities are not, I just feel like it's a demeanor thing, because I feel like it's almost like they have to smack that kid and then he'll like get some fire. It's like even midway through this season, he was like, there were some games where I guess he wasn't motivated, or maybe something was going on.
They were coasting earlier on in the season. He definitely.
He was also a sophomore, right?
Sophomore, yeah, true shot sophomore.
Coming off a national championship win.
True that.
On a loaded ass team,
getting all the ladies.
But look at like you're talking about like a fire and stuff like that, right? Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers or Mitch Trubisky?
A-Rod, but A-Rod's
pretty.
It's Trubisky.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so Matt Ryan, you see him when he's playing, and when he's good, he doesn't look scared or lost. When you see him start looking like lost and like his eyes are super wide and he's like freaking out and looking around, that's when you're like, oh shit. You know he's about to throw a pick to a middle linebacker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Mitch Trubisky has that same look. The best quarterbacks under pressure are like Aaron Rodgers, who his face doesn't change. Tom Brady.
I mean, look at Russell. He's constantly under pressure, and he doesn't.
That man has no emotion. Mahomes is another one, right? Mahomes, like when they were leading up to the Super Bowl, they were like, "Hey, Patrick Mahomes, how do you feel about playing in the Super Bowl?" He's like, "I can't wait, guys. It's gonna be so much fun."
All right. So a little flashback and a hot take from me here. Y'all remember when Jameis and Mariota were coming up, and they were like, "Is this going to be the first time ever in history that quarterbacks taken 1 and 2 will actually succeed in the NFL?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely going to be it."
Was it unanimous?
Yeah. Well, I mean, most people thought both prospects were can't miss. I still, honestly, this is the homer in me, but I still think Jameis can revive his career just because he's too talented, and he's going to go
not behind Drew Brees.
I think that's the perfect opportunity for him.
Not if he eats his way out of that team, but
crab
go
legs.
on.
I think this is going to be the draft that this happens.
Yeah, possibly
1 and 2.
Yeah, I think they will both have very prosperous NFL careers. Especially, I mean, y'all say that Justin Fields is an RPO quarterback. Well, his system is. I mean, look at the NFL. It's going that way.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. You got to get the right coach, because if he ends up in like Oakland, let's say Oakland drafts him.
Oh, I think Gruden would tailor that system to him.
I don't think, or say
is this where we make a Spider 2-eye banana joke?
Yes, I was gonna do it. I was waiting for you.
But or say somebody even more old fashioned, like I said, Bill O'Brien winds up trading Deshaun Watson for some reason. And
this guy runs too much.
I feel like San Diego is going to be really bad, or Los Angeles, whatever they're called. And they're going to end up with someone like Justin Fields.
But I think the Chargers would be a better fit because I think Anthony Lynn, as long as he's there, unless he gets fired, he's more likely. He wants a more mobile quarterback because as a defensive-minded coach, he understands that
what gives him problems.
The Chargers are in no way going to take Justin Fields. They just took
top 5 pick and Herbert or a top 10 pick.
That's Anthony Lynn's quarterback.
I think Tyrod is going to start, but they could. For instance, say Herbert just looks terrible, and they're kind of in a situation like the Redskins are now, where it's like we don't know. So we might go. There's a
Redskins just need to go ahead and sign Cam Newton, man.
They need to, but they won't.
Rivera's his name next to Cam Newton's again.
So I understand what you're saying, Ryan. I think you're right that you're starting to see the more successful teams are incorporating a lot more RPO and spread. I think part of that is because the players are more used to that sort of thing, but also because the concepts are really good. Josh McDaniels has been running spread concepts with Tom Brady as far as like their formations and things in New England for more than a decade. They have Tom. Decades. Yeah, they have Tom running out of the shotgun with multiple receiver sets for quick decision making, quick throws. And when we talk about the spread, we're not talking about the spread option.
Yeah, I
think the difference though is that NFL schemes have to be more precise and elaborate than college schemes, especially compared to some of the defenses in the Big Ten. And I don't know if, I think a lot of times you can get by on just talent, right? So there are very few teams in college football that would come close to being NFL teams. Even the Browns are stacked with some of the best kids who played college, right? So like Ohio State was really, really good, and Justin Fields is really, really good, but like you got to have something special to be able to be really, really good against all these guys. Otherwise you got to be coachable.
I feel, and to that point, just to play the other side of my point, I think there's a reason he lost that competition to Jake Fromm, and it might have something to do with him.
Kirby Smart.
But I'm just saying because like you said, when you're playing Big Ten football, there's not really like a lot of reads to go through, whereas Dabo's going to prep Trevor, for that kind of action. But honestly, that's the same thing they sort of said about Lamar. Like he wasn't really going through reads and.
But as a Georgia fan, though, I think that was more Kirby Smart because if anything, there were games where you could have used Justin Fields better.
Every game.
Well, like the LSU game that year, we would get like Fromm was terrible that game, but and like every time Fields would come in the game, it was instant offense. But instead of rolling with him to see if we could get back into the game, it was just like, no, get him to get you in the red zone, and then they pull him out and put Fromm back in so we'd stall out. And it's like
Fromm's Kirby Smart's perfect quarterback.
Yeah.
He gets set up by the run. It's the same thing as all the quarterbacks that you see in Alabama, except when they accidentally end up with,
Tua
or Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? But think about all the quarterbacks that came before Hurts in Alabama. What, Coker?
Oh God.
Greg
McElroy.
McElroy was a good one. The guy who was on the Falcons, John Parker with JP Dubs. He was our third string. It's you get set up by the running game, and then
play action,
and then that's it. Which is how Georgia gets away with not developing wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that assumes that the running game is working. And when you play against another team that can defend the run and that has practice defending your offensive system every single year in Alabama, LSU is like scientifically designed to fuck with Georgia. And Jake Fromm was not that guy. And Kirby, I think, made the wrong choice there.
Yeah, all right, we're
going to wrap it up in just a second. I got a question for you. Here's your lightning round question. We're going to talk about balloon huffing. So recently, so I'm an Arsenal fan, right? It's my curse. Arsenal has a couple of wonderful star strikers on their team. You have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who is just a poacher in front of goal. This man is just, he's nasty. And then you have Alexander Lacazette, a French guy who came over 2 years ago, who's a more stereotypical number 9. They're best friends. They love each other. They're a great strike partnership. But Lacazette got in trouble because he recently had an Instagram story posted of him sucking nitrous oxide out of a balloon.
Whippets?
Right. I want to ask you guys something. What's the dumbest way that you have seen a professional athlete get in trouble with his team? Mine is probably sucking gas out of a balloon. Like, what a lame, like, he's not even like doing a Laramie Tunsil and like smoking a bong through a gas mask. You know, it's like he's a grown man is sucking gas out of a balloon on Instagram. What's your lightning round question? What's the dumbest way an athlete's gotten in trouble, or your favorite way an athlete's gotten in trouble? Ryan, you are very excited to kick us off.
Stealing crab legs from Publix.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Or yelling "grab her by the pussy" in the middle of the comments.
Yeah.
James is a fucking liability. Micah.
Probably Gus Farrat, who injured himself by headbutting a field goal post after a touchdown.
Come on, Marco.
I gotta go with Plexico shooting himself in the club.
I was hoping Blacks was gonna come up. That man. Oh my god. I'm glad no one mentioned those Bulldogs who got in trouble for armed robbery recently. So let's do our next round of Atlanta hidden gem restaurants. I'll go first with this one, I think. No, I'm gonna go last. Ryan.
So I think I've taken each and every one of y'all here, but it's a place at Pond City Market called Drafts and Dogs. Kind of a small stand tucked away in the middle of Pond City Market. It may not be a hidden gem, but I've never met anyone in casual conversation that's heard of the place, but they have this thing called the Hangover Dog, which is delicious.
Fantastic.
That'll be mine. If you haven't been there, I highly recommend that you try it out.
Mako.
I'm so bad with names of places, but what I'll say is head down to Krog Street, and you can have a wide variety of nice things.
That's a cop-out answer, but I'll allow it. Micah.
I'm go one of my old school spots. It's not quite what it used to be, but the food is still good in the Grove. Good burgers, good wings.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I like the Grove. I don't know if I'm allowed there anymore.
What'd you do?
It's a whole thing. Next question, just to sort of close it out because we're having fun. What's your best Atlanta area or Atlanta associated? Oh, I didn't do mine. I'm sorry. My hidden gem restaurant is Baby Al's Chicago Dog. It's on Indian Trail Road at Lawrenceville Highway in Trillburn. This guy, not Baby Al. His brother is Baby Al. Anyway, this dude runs a Chicago style, like basically fast food restaurant in Georgia. He imports all of his bread from Toronto Bakery in Chicago. He imports all of his hot dogs from Vienna Beef in Chicago. He makes Italian beef sandwiches. It's like my whole childhood come back again. He's got, fried wings. It's fantastic. Check it out. Best Atlanta or Georgia area beer or alcohol. I'm going to go Creature Comforts Tropicalia. That's my jam. That or the Orpheus Brewing Atalanta. Micah, what's your favorite from around the hood?
Ooh, I gotta go. Terrapin's it was dancing gummy beer. It was a sour, but it had hemp and it was good flavor to it, so it was pretty good.
Mako.
I like that Scofflaw Basement.
That's good stuff. Bobo.
I'll go Red Hair Long Day Lager.
That's a good one too. Who does that grapefruit? There's like a SPF 50. Is that Red Hair? Yeah, I think it's a shandy.
What is it called? SPF 50?
I think it's SPF 50 or SPF.
Oh yeah, that is them. It's an India Pale Ale.
It's a grapefruit IPA, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good summer beer if you're looking for it.
I love grapefruit.
Grapefruit Sculpin by Ballast Point.
I hate to do this because it is from New England, but I had the best beer I've ever had in the world. Marco, you didn't get a good taste of it, of what we gave you the other day. But they're called NEIPAs, NEIPAs, because they're strictly from New England. They're juice beers. And what they do is they introduce the juice first and then the hops later. So you get a very juice-forward beer. And I don't like IPAs at all. And a friend of ours shipped some down here recently. And the Trillium, I cannot think of the name of it right now, but it's a Trillium beer, and it's delicious. It was like drinking what you would imagine a melted smoothie would taste like with a hint of alcohol in it.
That's some Tom Brady yoga water bullshit if I've ever heard it.
But it's 8.5% alcohol.
Get a real man's beer.
Avocado brew.
Bud Light. All right, we're getting delirious. It's 10:30. That's it for us. Thanks for listening. We have been the Fish and Grits podcast. Many thanks again to our guests this week, Andy Bunker. You can catch him on the midday show on 92.9 The Game. We'll also have his social stuff in the episode description. Catch him as much as you can. Tweet him, Instagram him, DM him like Ryan did, like a creepy fangirl. He might come on your podcast. You can't have him.
Apparently, he just played a round of golf with fans as well earlier today, is what he told me.
Oh, really?
So he sounds like a
He's
guy.
the man of the people.
Just that.
Yeah, we like Andy Bunker. Also, thanks to Vatilis Juan Solano, who does our intro and outro music. Spotify, ESPN, whoever. Spotify, I know you just bought the Ringer Podcast Network for $150 million. Look, there's 4 of us. We would each take $1 million. Maybe 5 of us. Let's throw Andy in because he helped us out. Someone please buy this podcast. Daddy doesn't want to go to work anymore. We've been the Fish and Grits podcast. We'll catch you next week when Micah talks for the entire episode about why he thinks quarterbacks are overpaid, and the rest of us pretend like we haven't heard this argument before. Thanks for listening. Be good to each other.
Bye.